Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we got a very special review because we're taking a look at a Maschinen Krieger kit, which I always love to build up. So we've got the Raccoon out now. Here's one that I've gotten built up. Now this is of course already been completely built and the seam lines are removed, and I've got a coat of brown primer on there already. So I'll use this one to show you guys what the built kit looks like. We will go ahead and go through the unboxing. The kit unprimed is actually molded in silver, and there is a good reason for that, which I'll talk more about in a little bit. But let's go ahead and check out the box first, and then we'll take a look at the kit. So this reconnaissance type version of the Super Armor fighting suit comes in this wonderful little box here. Got a beautiful painting on the front, one type with 5 different decorations, also a figure included, basically a head there included with this. This is 1/20 scale. So zooming in so you guys can see a closer look at all the details and weathering, all that's put into this illustration here by Mr. Koyo Koyama-san, the creator of Maschinen Krieger. Even all the way up here in the face, just the beautiful detail put into this artwork. It's very nice. On the ends of the box there, just mercenary troops, arms, Raccoon, 1/20 scale, Mark 069. You got the Eggman decal there. Same thing here on the side of the box with some information about the Raccoon, but that's there all in Japanese. But around here on the back side of the box, we have some different camo schemes there. So some examples of some different type of colors you can paint this and different camo patterns. And we got some information here in English. So if you wanted to read that, you can read that for some more background information about this Raccoon, and then some details, some stats on the design. Popping open the box, the runners for this kit are going to be a mix of recycled runners. Basically, there's going to be a couple of new parts to make it specifically the Raccoon type, but a lot of this is just going to be runners that have been reused from other kits. We have some other cool stuff here down at the bottom of the box, including our waterside decal sheet, which as always is looking very nice. You got your kind of standard markings there, mostly in black and white and red, and then you've got your larger markings, some letters in pink, light yellow, and white, and then some really cool markings here for this one. We've got our paint card, which once again is going to show us some different camo custom color schemes here for this, and there's some explanation about each one, but unfortunately that's again all in Japanese, so you'll have to whip out your translator app to get the details on all of that. Here's the decal guide on the other side, just showing where all the decals are going to go, and then a couple other custom color schemes down there just in black and white. For the instruction manual, it's a pretty simple one. You just fold it out like this, and it's just basically front, back, and inside. So there's not going to really be a ton of parts with this kit, of course, so it's relatively simple. Just make sure that you do pay attention to little spots like this where there's a little detail. You will have to translate that, but basically it's just telling you where you need to drill an extra hole or cut out a little bit, where you need to make like small modifications to the parts to make sure that everything goes together correctly. So just make sure you pay really close attention to stuff like this so that you don't end up having to take things back apart again, especially if it's parts that you've already glued. So here's our PC runner, which is going to be parts for all the joints and then parts for your hoses going around on the kit. This runner, like most of them, is going to be from the original SAFS kit that you can see there from 2009 is the release date there on the back of the runner. We also have a few more PC parts here in gray from the Prowler kit originally, which are going to be for the new arm parts. Then most of the rest of the kit is going to be molded in this injected silver, which is very bright in color. This is runner A from the SAFS suit originally as well. And you can see at the top of this runner there are these 4 little circle details. Those are actually detail parts molded onto there that you're meant to just slice off carefully with a knife, and you can use those on your kit. Here's runner B for some more of the parts for the legs here, mostly it looks like, but a few other bits in there. This is all still from the original SAFS. Runner C here as well, some parts for the main chassis and the hatch up on top of the head, the laser armed backpack. Runner F here is more parts in silver from the SAFS, and the same thing here for runner H, and this is going to include the original pilot head there from the SAFS kit, but we will have a new pilot head as you'll see here in just a second. Runner S here is from the Prowler, so that's where some of our parts are going to be coming from. That's labeled right up here at the top, and then flipping that around to the back, the Prowler parts are from 2012. Our new parts are going to be here for the Raccoon. Runner CC and Runner V are our new parts for the radar and backpack for this kit. And then we do also have a new pilot head here wearing a helmet, and that is in a kind of tan color. We do also have one clear part here from the Prowler, which is for the sensor at the front. So here's a look around one that I've got already all built up and already removed all the seam lines and everything on it and got a coat of mahogany primer on here. So this is just to give you guys a look at how this should look if you do plan on building it directly as it shows you in the instructions how you're supposed to build the Raccoon. That said, you do of course have some leftover parts. I'll show you those here in just a minute that you could use to like customize this to make it sort of like a mix. But at least here is for you guys a look around the kit, just how it would look just straight built up before you get to work on painting it. And it does have some articulation if you guys were interested. You can pose these slightly, so like the arms for example will be able to move up and down. You can rotate those. You have a little bit of bend here at the elbows. The hand is just on a little ball joint there, so you can kind of move that around a little bit. Nothing really too crazy. None of these flaps are glued in place yet, and I probably won't, but you can glue those permanently to fix them, but otherwise those do allow for movement. The flaps there on the shoulders, the front, and the side of the legs. Also going around here on the back, that flap right there. On the top here, I did add these details, those small little circle details, the four just kind of like bolt looking details there on the top of the hatch. I added those on there. That's the only thing custom that I've done to this at this point. You can carefully pop open the hatch, and that's what it's going to look like on the inside. I don't have a pilot head in there at the moment, as you can see, but that's how it's going to look. Once again, here is one of our pilot head options. This would be the new one for this kit, but then you have the leftover from the original SAFS if you prefer that one. So you just pop one, whichever one you want to use. That just pops down into place there like that, and you could like kind of turn that a little bit off to the side or something like that, sort of if you wanted to. There is also an option piece here to use, so if you did want to have the hatch open, you can use this piece instead, which is nicer detail, but it doesn't have this articulation of this being able to move. Basically, it would just be fixed open, but just it looks nicer. So if you are planning on having it open, if you're planning on displaying it open, go ahead and use that piece for that. Down here you do have some movement in the legs as well. At the top of the leg, the knee, just like with the elbows, will bend, but it's only a little bit. And the foot down here as well is just gonna have a little bit of movement there. It's just kind of on a ball joint. So some simple movement around here and there. We'll be able to pose the kit like a little bit, but don't really expect anything too crazy. Other alternative parts we have left over from either the Prowler or the SAFS runners, we have this alternate front skirting piece there. You have all the parts for the laser arm if you wanted to use that, including this soft cable which will go into the back here. On top of that little square panel you would put this piece right here, and that's where that cable plugs into. And then there's the backpack parts for that. You have this piece which runs along the kind of back of the chassis into this backpack part here like this. So you'd have to use that instead of this new backpack. Oh, this is also something that I added custom. This little vent here on the top, that part is not on there originally. I just added that. It was a leftover piece, but it seemed like it would fit there pretty well, so I added that on. You also have this little leftover piece, which is a little sensor, I believe, that kind of goes up here on the top of the head. And instead of this part here on the top, you have this periscope piece, which would go in there like that if you opted to use that instead. And you also have the original cables going from the legs to the body. They're basically the same, but they're a little bit thicker. So if you wanted to use those, they'll give you a little bit different look, just having this little bit thicker size, but basically going to be about the same. So this kit did have a lot of seam lines on the body itself, just going along the back here, the center of the back. So it's mostly covered by the backpack, and these detail parts here, you can see there's a little bit of seam I just left kind of under that part right there, just because that's going to be mostly hidden by weathering and all that, so I'm not too worried there. But going across the top, there's a seam line down the middle of that. On the upper arm and the lower arm, you had seams down the middle of those, front and back. And then on the thigh, lower leg, and foot, you had, those were all just, again, just two pieces sandwiched together, so you had seams on all of those. On the front, it's pretty easy. It's a little bit more tricky on the back, so you have some more detail going here, like on the back of the thigh, this back of the leg, and the back of the foot. Again, you can see I didn't get it like real perfect right there, but it's kind of difficult. Also drilled out these little holes here in the back of the foot. I'm going to add some cables. I'm probably going to add some cables here in the side of the arm, just some small wires. If we take a look back at the boxer, you can see it does have some small wires there on the side of the arm that aren't present on the actual kit, so this is something you're going to have to add in if you want it to be accurate to how it looks on the box art anyway. Another leftover piece you have here is just this ring part, which originally goes around the wrist right here like that on the right side of the arm, and then you would have your laser arm on the other side like that. But for this version, we're not using that, so we'll just leave that off. And one other place where there was a seam line too was on this front part added on here for this sensor right there on the front. There's a seam line going down all the way through the top and bottom of that, all except for this square piece there on the front. That was our separate clear piece that just sits right on the front of there, but the rest of this had a seam line down the middle of there that you had to get rid of. But anyway guys, as you can see, not really a ton of articulation or too much really that you can do with that. These are just kind of meant to be just more painting pieces, not really meant to be, you know, anything like too super articulated. That said, you can modify the joints if you wanted to make like a little bit more dynamic of a pose with them. If what's just built into the kit is not really doing it for you, it is pretty easy to modify the joints on these kits. I have done a video on that actually on the 1/35th scale version, but you could apply the same technique to the 1/20 scale version, basically just by rebuilding the joint just with a wire, and you just kind of make it so that it's fixed pose, but it does give you the ability to make a more dynamic pose with these kits if that's what you're looking to do. But anyway guys, hopefully you found this video helpful, informative. If you are interested in these kits, I highly recommend them. They're a lot of fun. A lot of people ask where to start off with machining Krieger if you're interested in the line. A good place to start off is one of these SAFS line suits. So like the Prowler, like the Raccoon, any of these, basically any of the different versions of the SAFS of the suit. If you guys have further questions, of course, though, do feel free to leave those down in the comment section below. And if you're looking to check out some Maschinen Krieger kits, you can check them out at USA Gundam Store. We do have them when the new kits come out, so check those out. The link to the store and the coupon code will be down in the video description for you guys down below the video, so check that out. Thank you so much for watching the video today, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye, guys.